pure experiences.
Welcome to the Pure Experiences Podcasts.
Another way of managing the desires is to suppress them. There are three ways in which the desires can be suppressed. The first is the unaware way. Second is the aware way. And third is distractions. So let us see them in a little bit of more detail and the consequences of suppression. Desires are a hidden force. Sometimes we are not even aware of what desires are hiding there deep into the mind. They remain there, suppressed, and it is not that they won't cause any kind of consequences. They do, and the consequences are also below the level of our awareness. They look like some other events. They do not look like a consequence, an effect of the suppressed desire, the hidden desire. How can a desire get suppressed and still remain below the threshold of awareness? It can happen due to many reasons, such as some childhood event, traumatic event. Not only childhood, in adult life also, this can happen, where a desire was made and its expression resulted in some very bad, bitter experience. And the mind learns not to bring that desire back again on the surface. It is simply trying to avoid that unpleasant, traumatic situation again. But as we know, desires don't go away. They need to be satiated. We need to manage them somehow. So the unaware suppression is a kind of putting them below the rug. The mind does it and hopes that nobody will notice it. So this is the unaware kind of suppression. There can be many examples of these desires. Let us say some communities or cultures do not want people to express some of their desires. A good example is the sexual desires. They are suppressed by the social mocking or social disapproval, and the very first time somebody expresses them, the attack by the society is so strong that forever it is then suppressed, and the person forgets it, but they remain there below the threshold of awareness. The second kind of suppression is aware suppression. Now you will be surprised to know that this can happen, but yes, it is possible. And one of the examples is celibacy, let us say, or controlling a habit which has gone rogue. And there can be another kind of suppression where the person is fully aware of the consequence and does not like the consequence, and so suppresses the desire. And there can be another instance where a person intelligently, after thinking about the desire, decides to suppress it. That is the intelligent way, a planned suppression of the desire. Celibacy is nothing but making a decision not to engage in certain actions to achieve some goal. Probably it is a spiritual goal, probably something religious, probably instructed by the guru, and the guru has told, don't worry, if you don't know how this works, it will work for you if you, with full awareness, the student will decide to not act on that desire, or even if the desire comes, suppress it somehow, to kill it there and then. So very much aware of the desire, but its expression also is suppressed. Its action is also obviously suppressed. Sometimes we need to suppress a desire which has become habitual. For example, smoking. It is automated. It is robotic. So sometimes a way of suppression is necessary. The desire comes, we simply kill it. We say, no, desire is here. I'm not going to be a slave of that desire. And we suppress the desire. Do not act on it. It remains. It does not go away. That's why all these addiction cures, they fail, because they do not kill the desire. They simply suppress it. So as soon as the mind finds a way, in the weak moments, well, you take the cigarette and smoke it. Even the celibate will fall sometimes, because the root is still there, the seed is there. Sometimes we know the consequences of a desire, of expression of a desire, and we decide to suppress it. For example, you do not like somebody, and the first impulse that comes in your mind when you see that person is to kill that person, insult that person, hit that person, do something bad. But you know the consequences. The consequences are very bad. Probably you tried it and the consequences were bad. So you do not want to express that desire, and you suppress it. It's not going to go away. Next time you see that person, and the same anger impulse comes. It can be a consequence-based way of suppressing the desires. Sometimes it is recommended, because the consequences are going to produce even more suffering than the desire itself. So we say, okay, the first thing I need to do is suppress it, suppress my action. I'll worry about the desires and its roots some other day. Fortunately, there are ways to completely get rid of this thing, which I'm going to discuss in some time. And sometimes there are intelligent, aware suppressions. For example, I want something, and I make a decision not to buy it because I cannot afford it. This is very rational, logical, and then no emotions are involved here, purely intelligence-based. But with full awareness, I kill the desire to buy that thing, to have that thing. Your life will be full of such examples. The desire itself does not go away. Whenever I have money, I run to the market and I buy it. It has been suppressed for a time being. So desires, they do not go away. For some time, you can get rid of them. That is called suppression. The third way is distraction. And some people may not agree that this is a way to suppress the desire, but I've seen this. I've seen people do this, and therefore I put it there. When it is, halfway between the unaware and aware, because you do not really decide to suppress the desire, you find something else to do. You divert your mind to something else, some other desire, so that this one remains out of your awareness for a time being. That is called distraction. You have failed in love, let us say, for example, and there is an impulse always to go and meet the lover, somehow make up things again, but it's kind of impossible now. So you go to the bar instead and drink whiskey. That intoxication dumps down this impulse, and you feel good. That means the desire to drink is replacing the desire to do something odd, which you do not want to do. And this is a very common example of distraction. One more example can be that there is exam tomorrow, but you are afraid and you really don't like the study. So what do? There is a desire to study, obviously, and that is because of your desire to clear the exam, to pass the exam, but you do not really want it. There is a competing desire to not study because it's too much to work, it's very hard work. So you go and watch TV. That is the distraction. You do not really want to watch TV, or you go and spend time with your friends, and that is not really your wish. What are you doing? You are trying to avoid something. One desire pushes away the other desire, and if it is good, gets rid of the previous desire somehow, then people use it. So anyway, you get the point. There are these ways of suppression that I am aware of. Probably there are more, who knows. What are the consequences of suppressing a desire? You must have guessed it by now that they are always bad. Most of the time they are bad. there are some exceptions here and there. Just like I said, controlling the anger and impulses, it can be good thing in short term. It's going to be worse if it is expressed. But long term, always bad. Very, very bad consequences are there. What are the consequences of unaware suppression? You can guess it. It leads to madness, lunacy, leads to insanity. Because the person or that individual is not even aware what is driving them. These suppressed desires, they get expressed through many ways. It is like you boil the water and put a very tight lid on the jar. The jar is going to bend, the jar is going to break, it is going to explode some or the other time. That's what the suppressed desires do to the mind. They distort the mind, they break the functioning of the mind, they corrupt the processes, the healthy processes in the mind. This can be a subject of psychology or psychiatry, science of pathology of the mind. But it must be your own experience that this happens. Some people have very odd behaviors, phobias, and some very irrational likes or dislikes. That is because of suppressions of desires. Some people have hate in them. They are not aware. From outside, they behave as if they are very cultured and loving, caring person. But when you get to know them closely, their insanity starts showing up because of the hate that they have for you or for somebody else. And when asked, why do you do this? The person is not generally able to answer. They don't know why they do that. Most commonly, suppressed desires are of the sexual nature, and they are expressed as very odd behaviors when the people of opposite sex meet. I've seen it myself, and it is very funny to watch. But it is sad at the same time that how people behave when they suppress their desires. When there is aware suppression and the mind pretends that, oh, I am choosing a certain action, and if I don't act on the desire that is there, a very powerful desire that is there, nothing is going to happen. But no, it does not work. It does not work. So you will see that people suppress their desires with full awareness, and for 20 years, 30 years, they do not act on them. And someday, because the mind is getting weaker as we age, the controls are falling away. It is becoming less and less aware. Especially if the person is not a practitioner, if the person is not a spiritual seeker, then the mind becomes senile. It starts becoming weak, and then the desires find a way. Then the desires get an opportunity to come out, and you won't be surprised to see, you know where this is going. When they come out, they usually come out in a very distorted way, very disgusting way. It is amazing. So there are some very eye-opening examples. For examples, a girl is usually taught to not eat much, to keep her body in shape. And the reason is so that she gets married to a very rich person. People don't reject her. And she suppresses with full awareness the desire to eat, especially the fatty and sugary things. She continues it for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And as soon as she gets married, now this pressure is relieved. And, such women, they start overeating. There is no control now, because the control before was artificial. There was a tendency to eat, was suppressed. And that which is suppressed, it explodes, comes out 1,000 times amplified. You can see this behavior in children. You tell them not to do this thing, and as soon as they get a chance, they overdo it. It is a pathology of some kind. It is a defect in the mind, human mind. It is not all amazing thing. You see, it's not all rational and intelligent. There are problems in the mind. And usually in case of animals or primitive societies, these things do not happen usually. Mother Nature has achieved some kind of balance there. But the human societies and human behavior is mostly artificial, you must have noticed. So artificial suppression happens. In case of married women, well, they all become fat because they have suppressed a very natural desire to eat, you see. If they had satisfied that desire in moderate amounts with some exercise and healthy diet, eating fatty food, sugary food is not going to make you fat. The thing that makes you fat is overeating, eating more than the body can handle, and not really exercising, not burning the excess matter that now gets into the body. So in the natural surroundings, when people had to hunt or grow their own food, this problem never happened. Nature always balanced things. But now, because we simply sit at one place and watch TV all day while desiring very heavy kind of food, lot of things, lot of distortion has crept into the lifestyle. And it has very odd and funny and sad and sometimes very disgusting consequences. Remember, suppression of desire brings consequences. It cannot be suppressed. What is the consequence of distractions? Well, the desire comes back to bite you with 100 times more force. You see, you avoid something, yes. The distractions will make you overlook, make you ignore that which you must do ultimately somehow. The desire or the need or the necessity is there, and distractions only delay the consequence. It does not get rid of it. Fortunately, it can be managed. There is no need to suppress a desire. And if the desire is suppressed, there are ways to reveal them, and there are ways to treat them. Sometimes it is not in the hands of the person. The person is now a patient. So professional help is required. You can take help of any kind of expert, the Western psychology or the Eastern methods. They both work. Sometimes they won't, and the person has no choice but to live with the suppressed desire. It has consequences. It reverberates for many, many lifetimes. Probably you won't believe me, but I have no way to prove this. People are born with a bad mind. Why? Why is that? You see, the DNA does not code for intelligence or distortions or habit or criminal behavior. No, DNA simply describes the body. It is the gross layer of the mind, storage of memories. And there is something else which decides how the child is going to be. Child's tendencies are decided by the causal body, and the suppressed desires all reside there. If you go on suppressing the desires, the causal body gets polluted beyond repair and takes on lower forms. Now, let's not go there because we have covered all that in the previous part where we discuss the metaphysical implications of desires. So the mind has its own way of ultimately expressing it. So if there is suppressed anger and it has polluted the causal body a lot, it has happened for many lifetimes, then the next form will not be a human form because the causal body knows that it's not going to work now. Intelligence of the human body, human mind is going to be overpowering this energy. So takes on a form that is conducive for expression of that anger. So it can be any animal, violent animal, or can be in some other plane of existence. Who knows? This is kind of beyond our comprehension now. So what is the solution to for the suppression? If it is social, well, you know the solution. You get out of that culture, get out of this society. Live somewhere where people are not suppressing your desires, especially if the desires are harmless kind. If it is due to artificial lifestyle, correct your lifestyle, get into a good company, avoid people who are suppressive, repressive, toxic and whatnot. Because obviously suppression, and the person himself or herself won't want to suppress anything. There is pressure from outside or pressure from situations. That is why do not take up practices that require suppression of desires. There are more refined practices if you want them. And about habits, suppression of habitual things, it is best to not form the habit in the first place. Become aware as soon as you are becoming a slave of some action, some repetitive action. You stop it there and then. You break it before it gets hold of you, and then you avoid the ultimate situation where it needs to be suppressed and suppressed and suppressed for the whole lifetime. Being aware since the beginning, using your intelligence and rational logical abilities from the get-go will avoid this kind of aware suppression. And distractions, well, it may sound like preaching, but don't do it. You do that which is necessary. Try to express the desire and live the consequences. Endure the consequences. Do not find a distraction, because it is going to become more ugly. You will need to endure them anyway. So do it while it is still weak. You see, burning candle, easy to extinguish. A burning bonfire, very difficult. And a burning forest, well, impossible. So you can understand, you get the point. The third way of managing the desire is aware observation. So now you have the background, you have the knowledge necessary to understand this way of managing the desire. You get a hint now what I'm going to talk about. Aware observation is letting the desires come and go, not acting on them, not trying to satiate them by this or that method, and not suppressing them, not finding distractions, not doing actions that knowingly suppress the desire, and bringing out the unaware suppressed desires and identifying the desires. That's why we took trouble to classify the desires, because mind likes it. Make a table of the desire, flowchart of the desire, and it really likes these things. Especially if you are on the path of knowledge, you will like this kind of structured analysis of everything. That's why I took the trouble of arranging it like this. And if you are following what I recommended on the very first part of this series, to note the desires, to classify them as soon as they come, because the mind needs something to do with the desire. If it arrives there, if it appears there, it cannot simply see it. So what do we do? I gave you the tool. I gave you something to do with it. Classify it. Look at it. Oh, it is a control system kind of desire. It is a reaction to situation. Oh no, it is impulse. Or it is my intention. I'm thinking about it since many days. Or it is my lifetime wish. It keeps repeating. It was there yesterday. It was there last week. And it is good. It is bad. It belongs to this need which I must fulfill, and it feels good, or this is totally unnecessary. This one is suppressed. I did not know that this desire is there. This is unaware desire. You see, if you want, you can go into this detail when you start the observation. Otherwise, the mind is not interested in observation. You will need to take interest, cultivate some interest, develop it. Desires are your partner for many lifetimes. Don't ignore them. Try to understand them. Try to be in a relation with them. And this is the proper relation. As soon as the desire appears, the first thing to do is to see it. If you don't see it, that means you are not on any spiritual path. Spiritual path is about becoming aware. Knowing that I am the pure consciousness that has the capability to become aware of any experience, and the desire is only an experience. It is an event that happens in the mind. All events are desires of one kind or the other. So even if you don't want to go into that kind of metaphysical mumbo jumbo, your own mental environment should be within your awareness. What you call as your own mind should be under the light of awareness. It is called light for some good reason. You see, it shines light. It makes things known. That is why it is called light. Be in the light. Don't be in the darkness. If a desire happens in darkness, you know what it does. We spend so many hours discussing now. You have a good idea now what happens if it is in dark. So become aware. Shine the light of awareness on all mental activities to start with. Classify it. Analyze it. Just like a scientist looking at a specimen under the microscope. He is very interested. He is very curious. Let me look what is there. Look how it behaves. Look how it wiggles its tail. Look at its mating behavior. It's all going under the microscope or telescope or whatever. Put all your mental instruments on it and observe it. Take a third-person view of your own mind. You have done this old thing for a long time. For many lifetimes, you have identified with whatever happens in the mind. You have done this in ignorance. You do not know that you are not the mind. Therefore, whatever happens in the mind, you say, I am it. I am willing. I have this impulse. I have this desire. And it is mine. So, cut this crap right now, right here. It is not true. These are events in the universal mind. There is just awareness of it. This is the only truth. You can see it now. So become aware of the desire. And you will see something surprising which you have never seen in your life before. The desire comes and the desire goes. Nothing happens. No consequences. No actions. You see, there are consequences only if you act on the desire. Either you satiate it, you suppress it, or you decide to distract yourself, or anything, you see. Do the black magic, do the white magic. If you are into all this monkey business, then there will be a consequence. If you simply observe it, put under the microscope of awareness, what will it do? You can do this experiment. I mean, it is not something which is right of only highly advanced spiritual seekers. No, ordinary people can do it. Why don't they do it? They don't know it. Nobody tells them these things, you see. The important stuff is not told to anybody, never taught. This is how our society is. This is how ignorant people are. You will need a teacher. You will need a guru to even become aware that there can be such a method. As soon as a desire appears, you need to be aware what it is doing, where it is taking you, what kind of actions it is asking you to perform. When you are aware, you can see the consequences very clearly. You see, there is intelligence also, just like I said. Sometimes we use intelligence to suppress the desire with full awareness. There is a difference between intelligence and awareness. The intelligence is a learned behavior. Because you saw what happens when the desire, makes you act, and then intelligently you decide not to act or do something else. So, if that experience did not happen, you won't be able to decide anything about it. You see, intelligence has its limits, that it is dependent on previous experience. Awareness does not have any such limit. You can be aware of each and every desire, even something that happens for the first time, even if there is no intelligent programs written through your experiences in your mind. Awareness is not a mental phenomena. It is beyond mind. Therefore, it has the power to free you from the mind. What are you? You are nothing, pure awareness only. The action of awareness, the action of consciousness, the experiencer. I am that. So, It has the power. It has real power over the mind. Nothing else has power over the mind. You know that very well now. So any activity of the mind, and most of the activity of the mind, is just desire and desire fulfillment. Nothing else, you see. So as soon as the impulse or the desire or any planning or anything is going on in your body, in your mind and body, you know through awareness only. So there are three ways of becoming aware of desires. And the first way is to cultivate this via practice. This is the proper way, actually. A seeker is doing nothing, is cultivating the mind. And 90% part of cultivation is keeping the awareness on. That is all. See, on the path of knowledge, there is no other practice. The second way to become aware is to delay your actions. Intentional delay. Now observe this word very carefully. There is an intention here. Cultivate a desire, grow a desire to delay the desires, a desire to rule all desires. Use the mind against the mind. This is the way of the seeker. Anyway, you don't have anything else, isn't it? You have only your mind. So cultivate a part of the mind which brings up a desire, an intention to delay whatever your previous desire is telling you to do. For this, you will obviously require awareness, and it can become a habit also to always delay the impulsive nature. So those who are very, very impulsive, never think, never use their intelligence and logic and irrational abilities, this way, this trick can be very useful. Delay the decision, delay the action, delay it. What that does is gives the mind a little bit of freedom, a little bit of time for the intelligent processes to activate. Otherwise, it's instantaneous. You can see such people do not think before they act and then repent. If you observe the wise people, the intelligent people, if you're not in the company of intelligent people, your life is a waste already. Let me tell you this directly. You're not going to achieve anything worthwhile in this life if you don't follow the wise people. So if you observe them carefully, they never decide in a hurry. They delay the decision, at least delay for 24 hours. Now I can understand some things cannot be delayed. A truck is rushing to you and you are standing on the middle of the road. And don't try to delay that. Impulse or the control system or the reaction to run to the side, it can cost you your life. So see, intelligent delay, intentional delay. There is intention or intelligence in that delay. It's not totally stupid. You must have noted we do not face such situations every day. It's sometimes, very rarely, and there you don't delay anything. If it is absolutely necessary, you do it. But most of our day, most of our routine is not so much emergency, is not so much hurry. And these decisions that we take, these desires that we entertain during these resting, peaceful hours, they decide our quality of the life, not the accidental things. You get the point anyway. So if there is something important, if there is a desire that appeared and it looks like it is going to cause a lot of consequences, you simply delay it. Don't even think about it. Postpone it as long as possible. And don't worry, if it is absolutely necessary, it will happen. That is the rule, that is the law. If it is necessary, it happens. Then there are no options to delay it. But the unnecessary things can be halted. You get a little bit of control there on the unnecessary parts. If it is habitual, it is a very good trick to delay the habitual action. And slowly it becomes weaker. You can try it. If you are habitual of drinking too much tea, let us say, there are many people here, they want tea every half an hour. I don't know why people do that. Why don't they fix it? And there are consequences of it, but they, acidity and bad health, but they take pills. They will take very, very expensive medicine, and to buy those expensive medicines, they will do, anything under the sun to earn that money. You see, I don't understand why this distortion is there in the life. You are human. You have a working brain. Use it. It is the story of an average person, you see. And I don't blame them. Ignorance is the root. Nobody tells them. Nobody tells them these things, that your own mind is doing it, you see. Nobody tells them these tricks. And I am also guilty of such ignorant, dark lifestyle where everything happened on the mercy of natural forces. That causes suffering, you see. Ultimately, suffering will bring you out of the darkness. So this is one of the very effective tricks. Delay the desires. And it is not going to suppress the desire. You will need to observe it later on and treat it with do whatever needs to be done. Then there is a long-term solution, and this is the third way of becoming aware, and third way of aware observation of desires, and that is reduce the seeds of desires. What is the seed of desire? Remember when you were born. Probably you don't remember, but look at a child. How many desires a child has? Let us say now you are grown up and you have 1,000 desires. You get 20, 30 desires every day, new desires every day. And it is a mess. That is why your life is a mess. So remember the childhood. There were 2 or 3 desires. The basic needs were all there, is food and shelter and a little bit of entertainment, play. That's all was there. So how did it happen? How did the mess of desire, the junk pile of desire got so big? It is now like a big mountain. And if you investigate, you will find that most of the desires you have acquired from outside. By outside, I mean in the society, the environment, situations, other people, by copying others mindlessly. This is how you accumulated this pile of desires. If you were aware from childhood, you see, that would be a different life. That quality of life is unimaginable for us. So, children are not told to become aware, except maybe in Tibet, high up there in the Himalayas. But we are unfortunate. We live in cities and in this kind of rotten societies. So we don't get this opportunity, unfortunately. Even as an adult, grown-up person, well, these things are beyond the reach of an average person. Only a spiritual seeker gets a hint of these things. If we cultivate, if you start today also, it's never too late, you see. Cultivate the awareness. See that others are responsible for most of your desires that are totally unnecessary. For life processes, a few desires are enough. And then you encounter the society, which is so polluted with desires. I don't have any good words for that, but you get the point. It does the brainwashing. All the desires, they mostly arise out of conditioning. In the last episode, we discussed that the first condition to become a magician, to take control over your own mind and the world, is to insulate yourself from the will of others, from the imposed desires of others, including more powerful minds. They are governing your mind right now. You are not aware of it, but because never cultivated the awareness. But if you start today, start now, you will start seeing which desire came from which source. And most of sources you will find are external. For example, you have this odd, funny desire to get dressed in expensive clothes. Ordinary clothes are enough to protect the body and to look decent and beautiful. You don't need $1 million suit studded with diamonds. So if you have this funny desire, very stupid desire, there must be a reason. And the reason will be that it has been implanted through somebody else. Some very charismatic mind, some very powerful mind has affected your mind. And now your mind, like a mad thing, it is satisfied, producing suffering, madness, odd behavior, and also guilt. I'm not good enough. I don't have expensive things. Even my neighbor is better than me. So, you see, this is all conditioning from the society. Oh, my mother tongue is a mother tongue of lowly people, uneducated, poor people. I need to learn this language, this foreign language. And this desire will simply make your life miserable. I've seen so many people like this. Small things. I'm not tall enough. I need to be 6 feet tall. Otherwise, I should, kill myself. And whole of the life is wasted for that person. Or I don't look good. And then there is a desire to look good. And then there are consequences that produce more desire. Like you will need to spend money and you will need to go to gym. And I'm giving you very, very simple examples, but there can be complex examples also, that you get a desire to kill en masse. You want to bomb the whole city because you want to rule that country. And how did that desire get into your mind? You saw somebody, probably it was somebody in your family, you belong to a royal family, and this disease of ruling others was implanted from that. You were conditioned, you were told that you need to rule people, you need to kill people, you need to overpower people by hook or crook, fool them, lie to them, use force. And the person became a king, and that is how, or a politician nowadays, somebody in the military, high up in the military, and attacks other countries, makes other lives miserable. So you see, there can be extreme examples also, but I don't think such people will listen to this talk anyway. Ordinary people are going to listen, I'm hoping, and therefore these examples are perfect. So the point is, you must have guessed it, that try to see the source of your desire and cut it there and then. Cut the rope which was tied to you. You are tied in many, many ropes. Even if you start cutting one rope per day, which is very fast, if you ask me, you cut one seed per day. You burn one seed of the desires per day. Probably in few lifetimes you will get rid of all the desires. It will be like peaceful again. It will be like a very silent pond, occasional ripples here and there. Right now it is like a twister. It is like a storm in your mind, and the reason is desires. Most of them remain unfulfilled. Most of them produce consequences that you are managing right now. You spend your life managing the consequences only. You don't know how to manage the desires, therefore you spend your life managing the consequences. And the problem is you don't even know why you're alive because of this dirt of consequences. There is no meaning in this life. There is no purpose in this life. Don't even talk about happiness and bliss and creativity and love and bigger things which a human should do. We are humans. We are born to do the human things, not the animal things which most of us are doing. So situation is very bad, and that is due to bad influences. So just like the handbook of magician says, cut the influences first. Make your own intention stronger. It has to be an aware intention, you see. How good it will be that all of your intentions are your own, plus they happen in the light of awareness, with your experience gained from your activities, other actions, in the light of intelligence. Also in the company of wise people who are always ready to advise you. You don't listen, that is another matter, you see. Because of this dirt of desires, accumulated desires from outside, the brainwashing is so strong that people will advise you wrongly. They will advise you in a way which causes harm to you. Because of the competition, nobody wants you to progress. Nobody wants you to become good. Nobody wants you to become powerful, strong, beautiful, intelligent. So if somebody sees you reading some book, look at this nerd. He is reading a book written by a scientist. Take this porno book, man, be like a man. You see, they will pollute your mind. Even if you have good intentions, because of the bad company, bad culture, bad society, you will become like them. So, isolate yourself. How to reduce the seeds of desire? First is to become aware of the sources of these desires. You see, cut them off. You don't want them. Live in solitude. Prefer the company of wise, otherwise no company. Make it a rule. I have done that actually. It is very difficult to not come across stupid people in this world. Sometimes you will need to interact with them. Keep them to a minimum. Prefer people who like you and whom you like. Do not run after anybody random. See, they don't like you. They don't want you. You have no place in their lives. Get rid of people. Get rid of relations. Get rid of relatives. Nobody likes you. I can give you this in writing. This is human nature, you see. Your own relative, your own parents will brainwash you, will feed you with desires that you don't want because you're unaware, because your intelligence is not functioning. You see, you are a child right now or a teenager. You will simply accept whatever the others tell you, especially if they are your parents, you see. Hate this person of the other religion. No, you cannot marry that girl of the other caste. Who tells you? Your own parents, your own mother and father. Are they entitled this title of mother and father if they do this to their own child? Why do they do this? Because they are themselves in the gutter. That's why they do it. They are themselves ignorant, you see. How can you expect the ignorant society to bring you out of the darkness? So solitude is a good way. Cutting off unnecessary people, very good way. Cut off the TV, cut off the newspaper, magazines and the cheap stuff that you are surrounded with. Everything is asking you to buy this and buy that and take this service and that service. The only service they are offering is to give me your money. That is the service they are offering, isn't it? Like an idiot, people take the advice from the TV and what kind of life they are living. It is not a human life. It is anything but human. I mean, first we should become human. I did not make a mistake when I said that. Shouldn't I become a god? Shouldn't I fix my goal as becoming some enlightened being, advanced being? Because I am a spiritual person. First become a human. That is the practical goal. We do not know how to be a human, you see. It is a fallen society. It is a fallen culture. It is everywhere it is global, you see, global phenomena. What we do, we mimic those cultures that shine from the outside, that glitter, have too much money. Looks like they're nice people, but we import all the bad things from there also. And we ignore the good things because they belong to poor people, substandard, subhumans. So there is such a deep conditioning going on here that's why I told you that probably it is going to take a few lifetimes and a very nice guidance, very nice teacher, very capable guru to pull you out of this mess, this quicksand of human culture, which is not a human culture nowadays. To become human is forgotten. You don't know how to be a human. Just an animal trying to survive, walking, talking, clothed animal. Most of the people are like this. Unfortunately, the reason is the dump of desires, the incorrect desires, the wrong conditioning. So you have two options. Either you become like a child, simplify your life like a child, or you accumulate good influences, the good sanskars. Slowly they will purify the mind. Slowly the desires stop coming. You know how the desires come by now. They are coming from the storehouse of memories. They are coming from the causal body. It is immortal. Don't think that, oh, it is going to end someday, let me enjoy my life. No, it never ends. It only changes. Nothing actually disappears in this existence. It changes from one state to another. You want it to change towards something better. More happiness, more freedom, more bliss, more awareness, more consciousness. That is the whole endeavor of a seeker. Is there anything else? Are we seeking anything else? There are 3 steps of becoming aware, which most of you know who regularly listen to my podcast and read the blog articles. Very simple. 3 steps. First step is to become aware after your actions and desires have happened, after they have done the damage. At least you become aware now. At least look at your own past. Look at your own actions. Look at your own desires. Then turn on the light. Maybe it's a tube light. It turns on after a while, but you will know. And the next time, there is a chance that that desire and action and the consequences will happen in the light of awareness. You will get a little bit of control next time. This time it has happened, so let it happen. Now what can you do? So become aware when it has already happened. The second step is to become aware while it is happening. While you are in the middle of the desire, in the ground zero of the desire. You are desiring, you are acting, there are consequences, you are handling, you are fielding them, and so on. Become aware in the middle of that. And the third is to become aware even before it happens, even before the desire raises its hood. You become aware. Now this thing is going to come, you see. You will know it only when you know your mind like you know your hand. Now this is only saying people don't know their hand. You're talking about the mind? No, they don't know anything about themselves. They know a lot about outside things, the crap that the society has pushed into them. They don't know themselves. So know your mind. That will give you this ability to predict the desire that is going to come. Those who observe people carefully, they know what the person is going to do next. What they are going to do comes from their desire. So what they are going to desire next, you can see them. So why can't you do that to yourself? You know what you are going to desire next. You do not know this because there is no awareness right now. So if there is awareness, even before the desire appears and becomes an action, you can stop it. You can observe it. The awareness is like fire. It burns the desires. You can conduct this experiment whenever there is a desire. Instead of acting and running around like a mad, you see the mechanism in detail. You see the desire in detail. It is possible to see it, not with eyes, with the mind. That's why it is called the third eye, the eye of awareness. Awareness is the only thing that makes us see. And you can see in your own mind. You don't need to see other minds. There is nothing there except pile of junks. You need this siddhi, you need this power to see your own mind. That will be most useful for you, believe me. As soon as the desire comes, or even before, you will become aware of it. See its dynamics, it's rising, it is producing feelings in the body, sensations in the body. It is making your muscles, the micro movements in the body. You're making your eyes dart here and there. Producing a torrent of thoughts. And the desire never comes alone. It comes with all her friends, you see. It's a big gang of desires always. And you can see it all. Don't worry if there is a question that, if I keep observing that when I'm going to act, I'll just die here observing the desires. So don't worry, that which is necessary will happen there and then. If it is urgent, it will happen instantly. If it is unnecessary, if it can be delayed, if it requires intelligence and rational thought, delay it. Just observe it. And this is possible only when there is awareness. So these are 3 steps of becoming aware of your own mind. And what are you going to become aware of? The activity of the mind. What is the activity of the mind? Mostly desire and managing the desires and running after desires and thinking about desires, acting upon desires and thinking about the consequences, planning, imagining, fantasizing. There is nothing else in the mind, really. So you will see the results almost on the day 1. The mind will become quieter. The intelligence will rise. It will start shining. Your actions will become more peaceful, coordinated, and well thought. For the first time in your life, people will see you as acting in an intentional way, in an intelligent way. You will be more successful than others, you see. To be more successful, you don't have to kill others, compete with others. You just need to become more aware and choose your actions intelligently. That is the trick. It will work in your spiritual life. It will work in your material life. It will work in your mental life. All the mental issues, the pathology of the mind can be treated like this simply by becoming aware of the desires. The mind self-corrects, just like your body self-corrects. Then whatever the doctor does is a little bit of help to the body. If the bone breaks, the doctor puts the broken pieces together and ties them down so that you don't move them. And the bones, they, send the fibers down and they heal. It becomes one solid bone. No doctor can do it. Only the bone has the ability to regenerate. You get a cut on the skin, you just band-aid it. The skin does it. The skin does the healing. The virus gets into the body. Well, sometimes it kills the body, but if there is a protection in the body fights it. The body gets rid of the disease. The body is nothing. It is mind only, the gross layer of the mind. Same thing happens in all layers of the mind. Probably it is much easier to correct the mind than the body because body is rule bound, you see. The virus or infection gets in, then mostly it is the physical rule that decides what will happen. But mind, well, there are mental laws. You can have more control there. Physical laws, how can you control them? Your own mind, you have most control. The mind cures itself. I was telling that the unaware desires, we are not really unaware of them. We choose to be unaware of them because the mind keeps throwing them out. There is some mechanism in the mind that twists them and causes odd kind of behavior, or sometimes it appears as a disease in the body because you see, the body is part of the mind. Everything that goes on in the mind, they are not two separate things. There's, some kind of ignorance, brainwashing by the society. So it will be seen in the body, it will be seen in the mind, the unaware stuff, the deeply buried stuff. As soon as the mind gets a chance, it throws it out. You need to choose to see it. How can you see it? When you're aware of everything that goes on in the mind, you can see it. At least sit down at one place peacefully and look into your mind what is going on. And you will see all the garbage there, which was suppressed. You can see it. You can very lovingly, with care, just like you take care of the wounded body, you feed it and you rest and so on, you clean it. You can do some same thing for the mind. It is not different from the body. Structured mechanism, a pile of programs and memories. You can correct them. You can rewrite the code of your mind. Simply, you need to know what is where, what is producing what actions. Do not act on them. Oh, this suppressed desire is here. Now I can see it. And it is trying to produce this kind of action. And now you simply observe it, channel it to something else. If you are angry with somebody, forgive them. This is a good way, because most of our misery comes from people, and if you hold it in your mind, you will remain miserable for the rest of your life. Forgiving is correcting your own mind. It is not going and licking the feet of the other person. That's not going to work. That fellow will remain the same fellow that he was. Forgiving is a surgery in your mind. You need to correct your mind. The reaction that happened because of the bad interactions, negative experiences, you will need to sit down and correct them. It is better than spending money, your hard-earned money, on the doctors. Doctors don't even know what is happening in your mind. They know what is written in the textbook and they try to treat you. It takes many, many years of experience to know what happens inside the mind of a patient. And that kind of service is going to be very expensive. You know that. And a very cheap way. It is free. If you treat yourself, if you treat your own mind, it is free of cost. On the first day you can see. It is instantaneous because it's mind. Instant manifestation happens. From the very first day you start observing your mind, you will start seeing the results. It is my own experience. Something that is bothering you, producing negative reactions in the mind, negative desires, just observe it. Like a good observer, astronomer looking at the planets. It does not meddle with the planets, simply looks at them. Same thing, you see. Look at the activity of the mind, whether it is negative, positive. Do not go with the reactions in the mind. Oh, it is disgusting. No, I did something really very, very bad. I don't want to remember it. No, don't do it. Let it surface. Let it come. See what effects it is having in the mind. See which behaviors were driven by this pathological activity of the mind. And now you get the point. The mind will self-correct. Next time it will again throw it up. Again, very lovingly, with all care. Sit down, watch. These things are not to be done while driving or, working or things like that, cooking on fire. No. You will need to spend some time. This is called meditation for a good reason. If you do it even 15 minutes per day, it will change your life. Go on increasing the time if you like it. If you don't, then you need guidance. If it's not working, or if it is, because mind is a tricky thing. I don't take any guarantees here, you see. If the pathology is very strong, meditating can make it worse. Sometimes it happens. The mind doesn't like its sins to be revealed. So it will do everything. Sometimes the influence is outside and there are parasitic influences and they don't like to be revealed. Now, this is a little bit of metaphysical angle. I don't want to scare you, so I'm not going to talk about it. Because most of people I have seen, they have parasitic entities on them. And they don't know it, because they are not aware of it. And the thoughts of violence are coming in your mind. Or you want to do something really disgusting. Why? And your nature is not like that. Your upbringing was not like that. Your parents were nice people. Your friends are good. Why is it there? Think about it. It is very rare, but when all the explanations fail, that which seems impossible must be the cause. You can even get rid of that simply by aware observation. Although I don't recommend that once you become aware that there is external influence, attachments to my mind, and even to the causal body there are attachments because of some past mistakes. Let's not go there. But as soon as you become aware that this is the reason, it seems to be the reason that these things are causing a lot of trouble, bad health and so on. I'm unsuccessful in almost everything that I do. And now you will need expert help. By experts, I don't mean doctors and psychiatrists. They don't know anything. They don't know about the metaphysical angles. They are totally ignorant about mind. You will need a guru. You will need somebody who has gone through this mess of the mind, who knows their mind. Once you know your mind, you know all the minds. It is like once you know one car, how the engine works and all, you can repair most of the cars, all the cars. Once you know how to use one kind of software, you can use almost all the varieties of that software you see in the market. It is not magic. It is just common sense. Once you know your mind, all minds are same. You will know all the minds. So a guru knows. He will know your mind more than you know your mind. And that is the place, that is the time where you decide to take help of a guru. We are fortunate to have such people. Search, you will find. Ask around, you will find them. There is a need to become a little bit vigilant, because there are fake people. There are so lowly people that they will take advantage of your misery also. Pay me this much, I'll get rid of this thing. It happens a lot. So you will need to take a little bit of risk sometimes. You will lose money, but if the demand is to become a slave, become a cult member or something like that, you don't entertain them. That is again common sense. I don't need to tell you all those things. The best thing is to learn by yourself. Teach it yourself. Train yourself. Become aware. Start by sitting and observing the mind. That is the best way to become aware. No, knowledge is necessary. If you don't know that mind is not you, how can you become aware of it? If you don't know the body is not you, how can you control the body? Know the essential thing. The spiritual knowledge is the most essential knowledge in this whole existence. The knowledge of who am I. If you don't know I am consciousness, I am awareness, where are you going to bring the awareness from? You will remain trapped in the mind and its activity forever. The mind cannot bring you back. Only awareness. Only awareness can bring you back home. Only awareness can get rid of these undesired desires. What are the consequences of aware observation? That is a nice question, isn't it? What will happen to these desires? Well, there is a good news. Probably that is the best thing that I have said in this whole series. That there will be no consequences. Is absolutely total destruction of the desires. If you become aware of the desire, let them arrive, let them come and let them go like clouds in the clear sky. They are not going to produce consequences. Just like I said, only when you satiate them, only when you act on them, you fulfill them, or you suppress them, you control them, you do this or that, distract yourself, only then there are consequences. You observe them, detach from them, do not cling to them. They are not going to produce anything. They are just movements in the mind. What can they do? Now the tiger becomes a kitten. Actually, you will enjoy the activity of the mind now. It is amusing. It's very funny if you see it. It has become serious. It has become tragic only because you give it too much weight, isn't it? The mind is like a puppy. You made it into a rabid bulldog. That is the only problem, isn't it? Mind is not a problem. Awareness is the problem. There is no awareness of what the mind is doing, and therefore it is doing whatever comes. The awareness fixes it. We take control of it now. Although whatever must happen will happen, but the purification will start. That is start of a journey. That is not the end. If you have the question that, oh, that I can do it, it's easy thing for me. But what will happen to my life? What am I going to do with my life now? Look, the old is gone. Don't cling to the old. The new is coming. Sun is rising. Why do you think what happened in the dark night? Why do you worry about that? See that something good is going to happen now. It will be another adventure. It will be an adventure that you are going to like. For the first time in your life, there will be a meaning. There will be purpose. There will be hope. If this does not happen, then you are doing something wrong. Then you need to consult a guru. Probably you are doing something else, not the aware observation. Probably you are just suppressing it in the name of observation. Oh, let me observe. Oh, there is a desire. Cut it down. Let me observe something else. That is not proper way. So, if you do not even know how to be aware, then please take some good advice from a good guru. They will be very pleased to bring you back on the track, because your mind is my mind actually. We are same, isn't it? We are one. So, it is always a pleasure to fix somebody else's mind. Although it is a difficult thing, I'm being honest here, it is always easier to fix your own mind. That is what I have experienced. others, well, it is beyond my pay grade actually. So you can fix only yourself. You should fix only yourself. Don't worry about others. Once you fix yourself, the others will come to you asking for solution. It is your wish. It is your desire if you want to help others. There are no consequences. Don't worry about the consequences. And there are some mistakes that can happen, but start on the path. Start on the path of light. You will become aware of the consequences also, if any, and actually you will be able to handle them more gracefully, more elegantly, in a beautiful way by yourself without any kind of teaching, because now you know how to fish. You don't need to be given fish every day. You will stand on your own feet. Start and you will see. It does not take time. What takes time is the resistance of the mind to the light. Once you make this determination, this sankalp, this magical intention to become aware, the real magic will start happening.
Pure experiences.
You were listening to Pure Experiences by Tharun Pradhan.